Have you ever considered how much time you spend sleeping? Every night? Every week? During the course of your entire life? Odds are you don't. Sleep is how we spend 1/3 of our lives, so maybe it's time to make an investment in where you sleep. That's why you should buy MyMattress, the bed I was formerly sleeping on at my old apartment for a few years. It's stain-free, comfy, and clean enough. Buying MyMattress is super simple. Just head over to https://boston.craigslist.org/gbs/my-mattress/6383151211.html today. MyMattress. It's cheaper than a new mattress and is currently blocking the sidewalk. Greetings from the crew here at Guaranteed Audio for episode 5. I am Kevin James, joined by my friends Neil Ciceriga.
And
Ryan Murphy. Ryan Murphy, who are you? Why are people listening to you talk on the internet radio?
I'm a writer, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a stop-motion animator. I write horror stories, spooky stories, creepypastas are among my favorite things of all. I like weird fiction, I like surreal fiction. I'm a cool guy. Do I get to say that?
Yeah.
Do I get to say that?
I'm sticking to it.
for it.
Neil, who the hell are you?
I'm Ryan's friend, and I also make videos, and I make a lot of music. I do mashups. I have an internet presence. Whoa.
I, Kevin James, am also a filmmaker. I do a lot of TV and film work, usually gun for hire stuff where I'll do like a short contract. I work with these two clowns. We've been making movies together since 2005, 2004.
That sounds right. 2005 is...
Yeah, so 6.
We've all known each other since grade school. We've been making goofy videos together, some of which have gained some viral acclaim, some more than others. For those who are new listeners and old, we'd like to announce that our RSS feed is live.
Yes.
Only half a dozen recordings into our audio efforts. We now have a feed on iTunes, Google Play, and everywhere else you would normally listen to podcasts, outside of YouTube, which is where we've been hosting them before, and on our Patreon page. And to find our podcast, if you somehow found it and need directions again, it's at guaranteedaudio.com. If you go to guaranteedaudio.com, you'll find our show. Guaranteedvideo.com will bring you to our movies and our, more importantly, our Patreon page where you'll find all of our updates and, behind the scenes footage, all that good stuff, all the stuff that's not readily available on YouTube for the public.
It's really quite, I guess nobody cared that much, but it is kind of lucky that we only just registered those domains today. We've been doing this for months. Nobody swiped them out underneath us. I guess actually maybe is a slight against us that nobody cared.
That people haven't been, on top of it. Well, that's it for the introductions. Guaranteed Audio podcast that we have in store for you today has a loose theme based around a pop culture character that refuses to go away, who is now... What is his age? What's the determined age of Sonic the Hedgehog? 26 years, 27 years old?
Conceived. He was just
gestated.
Sounds gross. And you know what? I'm sticking with that because he's gross now. He stayed gross. He wasn't born gross. And most births are gross. But I'm going to tell you, I got a bone to pick with Sonic, and you're all going to hear about it. That's where this is going to go.
The theme is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Save a little bit of that
Sonic
for
the
meat
Hedgehog
of the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
But 91, 92, is that
1991.
Yeah, I have the whole history of Sonic the Hedgehog's genesis, for lack of a better word. As I said it, I realized that was the wrong word.
That's perfect.
The team at Sega America and Sonic Team, like their whole thing, we could get into that later on. But Ryan had a quiz last month he had prepared about Sonic the Hedgehog, and we tabled it because we were getting close to Halloween. And then apparently a new Sonic the Hedgehog game came out like this week.
Yeah.
So I guess we have to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog. You're right. The intellectual property that truly refuses to die.
Yeah. So I guess we'll get into our normal segment, which is What's Everyone Been Doing? Ryan, what have you been up to lately?
Well, I'm still working. My brother and his new wife just got back from their honeymoon about a month ago. So yeah, I'm going to say 4 weeks ago. And since then, we are very close to Thanksgiving season. For those of you who are listening who are not Americans, Thanksgiving is a problematic holiday that we have every year. Right around, I want to say that other parts of the world have Boxing Day, or Bastille Day. No, Bastille is definitely December. But
Yeah.
there's something along
The last
It's a good thing
Thursday.
to break up school years, all right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The last Thursday of November, for those who don't know what Thanksgiving
Correct.
is.
It's the day we give thanks.
So have you just been getting ready for the Thanksgiving season
Yes,
with your family? Yeah.
exactly.
How about you, Neil? Anything exciting?
I noticed they're selling eggnog in supermarkets now.
Yes.
That's one Christmas thing I'm okay with because I love eggnog and I love eggnog. That's the sentence that I wanted to say. So
But I feel like up until last year, I was seeing Halloween flavored eggnog hit in like August. And this year, I didn't see it anywhere, but I did see Halloween flavored milk, like orange milk.
Just milk. Just,
Are you sure?
Yes,
You
I'm
didn't
sure.
dream it?
I didn't
Okay.
make this up. This is no. They had it at Market Basket, 2 different Market Baskets.
Wow.
Yeah, and this year, I think the companies that produce eggnog, Hood, etc. I think they just realized, hey, why don't we just make a Halloween specific thing? I think honestly, the success of some stuff like Stranger Things made people realize in the last year or so, hey, we can just make spooky food items again. Like Ecto Cooler came back out with Ghostbusters last year. Like that stuff's kind of getting proliferated again. I feel like there was an absence of Halloween flavored food.
bingo.
Even Count Chocula has been hard to come by.
Well, he's been sleeping for thousands of years. We did our last podcast. It was before Halloween. I just moved to a new house in a new neighborhood, and we were very worried that we wouldn't get trick-or-treaters, me and my wife. But thankfully, we got about 70 kids, something like that.
Wow,
It
that's
was
fantastic.
Fantastic. This is a good neighborhood for it. There were a lot of, really nobody over 10. It was a lot of like little like 5-year-olds and stuff. And
Children, they call them.
oh, yes, thank you. Children and
Adults, but smaller.
adults
as they
standing
say.
behind the children, telling them what to say, trick or treat, thank you, walk away now. Okay. And it was really nice. It was just a nice wrapped up by 8 kind of,
If you don't know who Ryan is, this next factoid is going to make you really respect him. Ryan gave out full-size candy bars.
Yes, I did. Full-size candy bars, way better. Kids remember that when you're going to give a gift, because these are a form of gift giving,
Yeah.
go big or go home, literally and figuratively. A kid will remember that house.
Now, if Neil did that, he would have had to spend about $55, if my math is correct. How
we
many?
didn't. We did have a ton of candy. We didn't have full size candy bars, but we did have full size Airheads, which kids loved.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I spent this is not a bragging, this is not a competition, everyone, but I spent a little over $100 on Halloween candy this year because it's worth it. And another
I
thing,
spent $200.
Well, I
My
spent
candy
nothing.
I had comically huge candy bars.
wait a minute, again, this is not a competition.
You know those giant gummy worms? I had 50 of them.
I live in Salem, Massachusetts, and I didn't get any candy
That's where
prepared
I'm
because
going
I,
with this.
I live in an apartment complex with 4 units, and it's like a big house. It's like a late 1800s mansion thing. It's got a big face to it.
In Salem,
yeah.
from Hocus Pocus and the real world. That's where I was going with this. Again, it's not and for those of you listening home, you're not in the room. You don't know if we're joking or not about it. I swear to God, it's not a competition. I just love Halloween. I really do.
We all do, yeah. I still
I shouldn't. Yeah.
I still have my decorations up right now. We're looking
Yeah,
at bats and
I'm going to a Halloween party not this weekend, but next weekend. My friend Corey Tilton, who did some of the music for the Creed, he just has it late every year. He's like, I'm not going to compete. Like
That's smart.
Because a lot of people will announce their Halloween party literally 2 months in advance in our circles, and it's really hard because everyone wanted to have it on Saturday this year, right? I had 4 parties I was invited to the weekend of Halloween. I made it to yours.
thanks.
We all made it to Neil's.
Yep, we all got the Neil's. For those of you who saw that the image for the last podcast was from Neil's really cool photo booth room.
Oh yeah, that was I love it when we set those up. And Corey just decided, hey, I'm just gonna. Everyone's gonna have costumes, or like they're gonna maybe they. And for Hillary and I, my girlfriend and I, we really wanted to do a certain costume, but we didn't have time to do it for Halloween. But now we had an extra 2 weeks. So
I like that.
Yeah,
Second chance.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
Relax.
Halloween's great. Like so we're hypocrites. We're gonna celebrate Halloween for 2 months, and Christmas I'm gonna lament a bit. Like it should be like 3 weeks tops.
Yeah.
Well, let's.
By the way, one quick thing before I forget, because I will forget it. There is a certain twinge to shopping at Spirit Halloween, and for those of you who live in parts of the country without a Spirit Halloween, I pity you. Spirit Halloween is a temporary Halloween superstore that comes into the wreckage of other abandoned
Circuit
Targets,
cities,
abandoned
yeah.
Circuit
Pizza
Cities,
Huts.
Yes, the remnants of
Pizza
the
Hut.
the fall of the American Mall, if you will. The fall of the American
They
Mall.
always, they cordon off like half of the store.
They do
There's
to
just
hide the sadness.
There's an entire like empty space behind these curtains.
And it's great. The great thing about Spirit of Halloween is if you need like a specific thing for a Halloween costume, you just figure out whatever the hot brand is of the day, and you get parts for that costume. I wanted to be YB from Coraline this Halloween, and getting like an actual curly haired wig was like $50, but the Stranger Things wigs were $14. It's
There you go.
And it's not like someone's gonna look at me like, "Hey, you're the kid from Stranger Things. That's his hair." Like, no. So it's a great way to.
Why is Rocky calling you out?
He's a big fan of Netflix. He owns stock in it.
The point is, going to Spirit Halloween is go after Halloween, November 1st, November 2nd. Everything's cheap because here's what they do. Because I can say this. I think legally I'm allowed to do this. I used to work at a Spirit Halloween, and in between real jobs, and I know that you have to box up and pack up everything. Spirit Halloween is actually owned by Spencer's Gifts, real stores, gross stores, but real stores. And that, by the way, that's not an opinion; it's a fact. That joint is gross. They have to pack up everything, so there's a cost-effective ratio of, is it cheaper to box it up and save it for next year, or is it cheaper to just slash the prices and get the store has got to move?
Yeah, less trucks.
Either in a customer's bag or in the box. So get moving, and all the good stuff's cheap.
We clean up every Halloween. We used to, back in the day when we lived with our parents when we were like 20, we would go to Walmart the week after Halloween and buy all the fake blood and fake smoke.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're going to need fake blood for this movie in 6 months. Like, so let's buy it now. We buy gallons of the stuff. And of course, Halloween sound effects CDs.
Yes.
Which we still listen to.
We have one in my car right now. In fact.
Have we talked about Halloween more than our Halloween episode at this point?
Yes. So let's move on to our first true segment, Media Current. Has anyone here been consuming anything interesting lately? Neil, you saw Thor.
I did. Thor Ragnarok.
Directed by...
Taika
Likeable guy.
Waititi, yeah.
Fun looking.
From What We Do in the Shadows.
Fun-looking guy.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of What We Do in the Shadows. Was one of the best comedy movies.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet either.
Neither of you have seen it.
It's on
By
Amazon
the way,
Prime.
I haven't seen Thor Ragnarok yet. Spoil away. Have fun. Don't let that impede your
I don't
ability to
wanna
talk.
spoil
I hear they finally made a funny Marvel Comics movie. They finally did it. They finally did it.
It is interesting. Yeah,
They're heroes.
they're all kind of like pretty loaded with jokes.
Even the first Iron Man is a comedy film.
Oh yeah, I mean Iron Man
Avengers
is
is a
constantly
comedy film.
wisecracking. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like wildly different, but it is kind of following along the trend of they're getting like pretty visually varied with the movies now. Not varied, but like there's tons of color in this. There's a lot of
It looks a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy.
exactly. It's kind of like a better version of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which is to say
just in
it has
tone.
less variety.
Well, what I'm saying that's where they're going with the comics now. They're
You're saying they're all going to look like... Okay.
Well,
Gotcha.
like
Yeah.
just based on that Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange, they all have like a lot of like
Neon color.
neon colors and just like fun, crazy special effects, which I'm totally down with. It's very in keeping with the comic book aesthetic.
Sure.
You know what I'm fascinated by? And if we all live long enough to see this, these are the movies little 5, 6, 7-year-olds are watching.
Grown
That
up on.
they're going, this is their Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Like Jurassic Park 93, 94? Help me out, guys.
93.
93, thank you. When I was born in 1986. So Jurassic Park, just as a little boy, just blew my mind. And these movies, in a very different culture, for a very different media consumption for these little boys and girls, this is the base. What parts and pieces of this will they keep by the time they're 30, 40, 50? What about this is going to stick with them?
Yeah.
What about it
Well,
will mean something?
And
it will. It will be. It will.
It has to be.
but
They're
it
too
will. But
popular
I think
not
it's
to.
a little closer to like the cartoons because it's so episodic and because they really blend together. All
That's
the
cool.
movies.
Yeah, the only one that really seems to have stuck out in the Marvel universe in the last couple of years.
I was going to say Captain.
I was going to say the new Spider-Man seems to be, even though like Iron Man's in it and stuff, it
Yeah.
seems like the most
Standalone the most.
Yeah, standalone by virtue of being a different
Grounded
movie
in
studio.
or-
Well, like
Yeah,
it
but
seems
I
because
didn't
they're
see
all
it yet.
part of the Marvel brand, I think it works a little bit more like a TV show.
Sure.
Than Jurassic Park did.
But like this new Thor movie, like Hulk is like the buddy.
Yeah, this has cameos from like other Marvel characters, and it like it ties in. Yeah, it ties in. It's not as singular as like Logan was to to that movie.
Logan's another as a better example than Spider-Man: Homecoming, I guess, in terms of like this is like kind of like a standalone. Like Man of Steel had that feel because they were kind of feeling out if they were going to do it, but for Logan to be that type of movie after 20 years of X-Men films.
Yeah.
Well, 17 years. My mistake.
Yeah, but anyway, no, Thor Ragnarok is totally like it's like very funny, and like I was laughing my ass off at Jeff Goldblum in it. Yeah, worth seeing just for good old Jeff.
The cast is amazing.
But that is not my media current. You just kind of foisted that on me.
You saw it this week.
I did, but more recently I watched Exorcist 3, and I want to talk a little bit about
Please.
Exorcist.
Oh, this is good.
Have either of you seen it?
I've only seen Exorcist 1 and then the second version of the prequel made in 2004.
Okay.
What about you, Ryan? Have you seen?
Too long ago to have it was a summer that they were showing all the Exorcist movies, and it was not even to pitch a new one. I was in junior high. It was kind of like when one of the upper cable channels just showed all the Planet of the Apes movies, all not with James Franco and stuff. It was the 5 Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Battle for the Planet of the Apes, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, another Planet of the Apes. There's 5.
They're very distinct films.
The point is they showed them back to back. I don't know why. Maybe it's a contract thing.
And did Exorcist 3 get mixed?
Nope. And there was a... That would be great.
For some reason.
See, if that happened, I would really remember Exorcist 3, but go on.
I saw it was streaming. I was over a friend's house who subscribes to there's like some like $4
cable television.
No, it's like a streaming. You get it on Amazon Prime, but it's like all horror
Stars
movies.
or something.
It's kind of like
FearNet?
FearNet, something like that.
All right.
And we were just trying to pick something, and like, oh, Exorcist 3, I've heard that's good. So we were watching it, and it's just very disjointed. And we were trying to figure out, like, is this good? Is this kind of cut from the same cloth as Twin Peaks? Everyone's kind of acting super weird in it.
Yeah.
It's got George C. Scott from...
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we love George C. Scott.
Me too.
He's very flat.
What's a favorite George C. Scott role? Flim Flam Man? Patton?
I think I've actually maybe only...
Strangelove for me.
Strangelove's great.
Maybe I've only seen him in Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove.
And now this.
Just to clarify.
He's only good in one scene at the end where he's kind of like battling a demon, and he gets pinned to the wall and starts sputtering about, I believe in evil. Just like really doing a good job, but he's not doing
like they let him kind of be him?
I guess.
Yeah.
Rescuers Down Under.
Good thinking, Lincoln.
Underrated.
Yeah,
Rescuers Down Under is underrated.
But the kind of like the jewel in the center of Exorcist 3 is Brad Dourif plays.
Cool.
He plays a crazy person who.
What are the
Go on.
But he's really the only person like putting the effort in the movie.
He always delivers.
He's really delivering. He's just like he's
Even
doing some
Alien
great
Resurrection,
monologues.
he's really
but they go on way too long.
Yeah.
It's directed by the writer.
Oh.
The novelist who wrote The Exorcist.
That sometimes works out.
Sometimes that
works
works
James
out.
Mangold, it worked out with Copland.
But it's not very good. And I found out later, like, it was really hacked to death. They made him reshoot an ending because apparently the original movie didn't have any exorcisms in it.
What?
It didn't. Well, he wanted to call
stupid.
it Legion, which is the name of the book, and they're like, "Well, it has the same characters as The Exorcist, so you have to call it The Exorcist 3."
I can see some board meeting of people going, "You're going to confuse
That
audiences."
happened
It's
too with
much."
the Exorcist prequels that came out. So you guys know the story about the Exorcist prequel?
Please, no.
They
I
were
did
making
not.
one around 2003 or 4, and they got all the way through production, and the studio watched it and said, "This is crap." So they re-shot the entire film. They like rewrote the script. They kept the same principal cast, like 1 or 2 actors, and they made a completely different movie with the same lead actor. And they released that one. And I saw that one. I think it's called Exorcist: The Beginning or something like that. And then like a year later, they put out the other one.
That's weird. Oh, so it's kind of like that DVD extra movie of like Anchorman or whatever.
Yeah, here, a whole other movie of outtakes.
But
yeah.
the final thing of note about Exorcist 3, it does have some pretty creepy, a couple like really good creepy scenes. It's got the crawling on the ceiling, old lady,
the nun in the hospital.
Yeah. But there's a dream sequence in the middle of it where he goes to heaven, and there's angels walking around, and one of the angels is Fabio in a cameo. It's straight up, it's Fabio, and I think Patrick Ewing is there, and it's just it's
Remember
a
he got
weird
attacked
movie.
by a bird. He was on a
roller coaster.
He
a
hit
ride.
a goose with his
A
face.
goose?
A goose is a bird.
A goose
He had a
is a
corrected
bird.
tone.
But I just kind of hoped it was a little bird. I hope the bird was okay. I still hope the bird's okay.
No,
but
I
a
think-
goose.
If you get hit
Ah,
in the
my
face by
goose.
Fabio.
What about
My
you, Ryan?
face
Yeah.
with a goose.
Ryan, have you watched anything lately, Ryan?
Yes.
Or read
You watched the
anything?
footage of Fabio getting hit in the face.
What if that was funny? You mentioned that. I was.
Actually,
was there.
if I recall correctly, it's almost like a triptych of photos. Fabio on the roller coaster, Fabio getting hit with the goose, Fabio with his nose busted.
Oh no.
Yeah.
For those of you at home, Kevin, we have a monitor here, and Kevin is. You just Google Fabio roller coaster, like, oh, you mean the bird?
Jeez. How about you, Ryan?
Okay, I something I haven't talked about yet. I watched about 3 weeks ago, and actually I was talking about with a couple of folks at the Halloween party the other week. I watched the Netflix series. It's only 8 episodes long. There's no sequel, by the way, because it ends. No, actually, OJ's on Hulu. And OJ's on Amazon.
Are you excited
and
for
OJ's
OJ
on
2?
the street because the murderer, OJ Simpson, the
Alleged.
murderer, OJ Simpson, the murderer, is a free
I don't want to
man.
get sued.
The point is, OJ can just, you know what? This is not about OJ. This is not about Beetlejuice. Say it 3 times and make a reel. I watched about, you just can't escape OJ.
What did you watch?
Ted Kaczynski. I watched the story about how the FBI, in a lot of ways, created, about how this analyst from the FBI, in a lot of weird ways, created or really fine-tuned the field of forensic linguistics, studying a person's words, their choice of words, their absence of words, and how they use this to dissect Ted Kaczynski's manifesto and catch the Unabomber. It's really well done. I've always been fascinated by the tragic story of this brilliant genius madman who chose
Much like Dr. Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog. Go on.
Too early.
I just realized, like, we haven't talked about Sonic.
First of all, Ted Kaczynski's smarter than Dr. Robotnik. I'm not put that on the record. Not that the man's getting any compliments today. That is not a compliment.
I just
and
pictured
mean-
you visiting Ted Kaczynski in prison, and you each have the phones, like you have the plexiglass between the two of you. You know, Mr. Kaczynski, I just wanted you to know, I think you are way smarter than Dr. Eggman Robotnik.
I know this guy who's talking about Robotnik, and I says to him, hey, he's no Kaczynski.
Did he ever turn a rooster into a robot frog?
So the show's good, right?
Show is good.
Good or okay?
I soaked it up in 2 days. I would watch it again too. It's not like,
Is it as good as the OJ?
yes, absolutely is. God, OJ.
It's as good as that? Because I love
Hey, you
it.
brought him up OJ. You brought up OJ this time.
I did. Well, I mean, just in terms of like a true crime miniseries.
Yes.
Based off of...
They make in a weird way. There is a certain twinge of sympathy for Kaczynski. He's the bad guy. His victims deserve to be not victims of this monstrous human being.
Yeah.
He's delusional. It's a really tragic case. He's 16 years old, almost certainly misdiagnosed. Would have been better diagnosed with social anxiety disorder. 16, got into Harvard University. Real, just brilliant savant. Enlisted by the government for that awful shady program MK Ultra, which became ostensibly what became years and years of physical, mental, and emotional abuse that drove this capable, very, very intelligent young man who was vulnerable into a fucking horrible human being that killed people. Yeah. But the story of catching him, because he was he understood what he did was wrong, because he would not have hid his tracks so, for lack of a better term, evil geniusly, because he was too smart to be caught by the entire FBI through all the technology they have. And yes, there is an O.J. Simpson line in it, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. But there's a scene where not the head of the FBI, but one of the higher ups explains, we have just launched a website on the internet specifically to catch the Unabomber.
The internet beat the Unabomber?
It's and he explained www.fbi.gov. Actually, I think he even says .com. I don't think they even had government websites. But he explains he has to explain in a press conference. This is called a website because, like, in the hopes of sharing information to get this motherfucker.
Do they show the website? It's got like under construction gifs,
A toaster gift.
counter, yeah, dancing baby.
I don't honestly remember right now if on the program they show the. But
It's got like a punch the monkey ad.
Do you guys remember back when you first learned how to use the internet, getting the talk about whitehouse.com? Do you remember this?
No, what was on whitehouse.com?
It was a porn site. So I remember in 7th grade, like being instructed, like, hey, listen, you got to go to whitehouse.gov.government, G-O-V. You don't want to go to whitehouse.com. So, of course, every kid immediately puts in whitehouse.com to see why can't I go to whitehouse.com.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I don't know if that's still the same.
Yeah, I don't remember doing that.
Yeah, because
I don't think I was interested in going to the White House's website when I was a kid.
See pictures of Bill Clinton's cats. Like,
I find that interesting on account of there was a point. God, isn't that insane? There was a point when children had access to the internet in schools and libraries and things in the computer lab, but there were no software, no firm there was no protection at all.
for me, I almost finished the first season of Leftovers. I'm almost done with that. I'm going to wait till next episode to get into that. But I have been recently playing Psychonauts, a Tim Schafer platforming game from PS2, the original Xbox, like 2004, I want to say, 2005. Funny as hell, as all Tim Schafer games are. For people out there listening who aren't into video games, I don't know what's wrong with you. Video games are the best. Tim Schafer's made countless great games: Grim Fandango, Brutal Legend,
Day of the Tentacle.
Yeah.
He just did. Well, he's still making games.
Double Fine.
He runs Double Fine. They have a whole bunch of series.
They just put out a Psychonauts VR game for PlayStation 4,
and they're working on Psychonauts 2.
Yeah,
and just announced.
Yeah,
this year.
Yeah, and I've been playing through it. Finally, I bought it for like $2 on a sale like months ago. Mm-hmm. It's really funny. The voice actor who does Invader Zim, Richard Horvitz.
Yes.
Horvitz. He's
sounds right.
He's the main character, Rasputin, and he's this.
Also, he was Daggett.
Angry
Well,
Beavers.
he plays this kid who has psychic powers that goes away to this summer camp that's actually like a government training facility for kids to learn how to use their psychic powers.
Speaking of MK Ultra.
Yeah, a la the X-Men or Harry Potter or Ender's Game or something. And but it is like a summer camp. Like their kids are like making s'mores and like fishing and stuff while learning how to make mind bullets. And it's funny as hell. I'm like 4.5 hours in. I think I'm halfway through. It's a lot. It plays a lot like Ratchet and Clank, but it's a 3D platformer, and I just highly recommend it if anyone wants to. Just I'd play it on PC if you have the option. I'm more of a console guy. I like playing stuff on PlayStation, but the PS2 version of this game was definitely the roughest, and they did some work to clean it up a bit for PS4, but it's like still it runs at like 20 frames a second, and like a real platforming video game is supposed to run at like 60. Like Sonic the Hedgehog, for example.
Oh,
this is kind of the
segue.
This is the segue. So Sonic the Hedgehog is in the news right now because Sonic the Hedgehog
killed someone.
He killed someone. No,
Sonic the Hedgehog and Kevin Spacey.
You stole my joke. I was gonna say he got fired by Netflix. So for those who don't know what Sonic the Hedgehog is, Sonic the Hedgehog is the corporate mascot and high-selling IP of Sega. Sega used to be a very popular arcade video game company, kind of a shadow of what they once were. And his peak fame, I would say, was probably around the same era as Bart Simpson, like 1992, 93.
I'm the baby, gotta love me.
Yeah. And Sonic just won't go away. Sonic is still getting games made pretty much annually. He's in like the new Smash Brothers games with Mario, which it's weird. It's like a false equivalency. I love Sonic. There's part of me that loves Sonic. Kids still love Sonic, but he's not like Mario or Pac-Man or something.
He will always be the Family Guy to The Simpsons.
Yes. Sonic the Hedgehog had 2 games released this year of note. There was Sonic Mania a couple months ago, which was great. Basically a ROM hack. This guy named Christian Whitehead in his studio were hired by Sega. Like, hey, can you make us a downloadable Sonic game that's like $15, $20? Do what you got to do. And it was probably the best Sonic game made since Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles, which is to say it's the first good Sonic game in like 20 years.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I played at my brother's house. Yeah,
I love
did.
it.
And that's right. I started playing through it, and I actually thought it was just he just downloaded on the store one of the older games. Like,
Yeah.
my memories of Sonic 2 vague? Like, no, my memories of Sonic 2 are fresh.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, because I've been researching Sonic the Hedgehog a lot lately.
Yeah.
For this podcast, but yeah, it was good.
It
I
looks
played through it a lot. It was fun.
For those of you who aren't in the know, like this game, Sonic Mania, looks a lot like a game that would have been created in, say, 1993. It was designed using the old art assets that Sega had created back in the early 90s, right? Like the old like sprites and such. It looks like it came out during the bleeding edge of 3D graphics. Like there are very low poly 3D elements to the graphics. The color palette's a bit better than Sega Genesis, but basically it looks like a hacked Sonic game from 1993 or 4.
Yeah.
And then another Sonic game came out this week that's apparently trash. Sonic Forces, I want to say it's called. It's like a big budget
6 out of 10.
like 3D platforming game.
It's not terrible, right? I don't know how the
It's
curve
just
works.
it's the same thing. On Metacritic it's at like a 58%. It's just
Came out 2 days ago. Wow.
you could look up countless video game podcasts where they talk about why Sonic hasn't been good in forever. Basically, the character didn't make a great transition to 3D the way Mario did.
He did not go gentle into that good night. No.
And if you want to hear a good dissertation on how to do what Sonic was doing in 3D, I recommend looking up a panel that Mark Cerny, Jason Rubin, and a bunch of other founders from Naughty Dog did about a year ago during the anniversary of Crash Bandicoot. They did this panel, it was around E3, and they talked about when they were trying to cook up the first polygonal 3D platformer with Crash Bandicoot. They didn't have the name Crash Bandicoot when they were cooking up the game. They just called it codename Sonic's Ass. Because they were trying to solve the problem. How do you make it fun to look at Sonic's ass for 6 hours? I don't think it's our place to really do like a video game podcast discussion. I think it'd be fun simply to talk about our history with the character of Sonic. Sonic is now this awkward pop culture entity. He's a meme more so in my life than a video game character. Like I don't really play Sonic video games, but I'm always aware of Sonic. There's been fan art drawn of the three of us as Sonic characters.
Yes.
Like Sonic's,
Ooh.
yeah, it's weird.
I've
Sonic's
buried
out
that
there. Neil, do you have any ties to Sonic?
No, that's why this was a bad idea for a podcast.
You've never played Sonic?
My memory of Sonic, the first time I played Sonic was probably at Blockbuster Video, I think, or some video store. They had the kiosks with video game consoles that you could rent.
The Sega Genesis was,
Yes.
yeah.
Behind all that,
And I remember
not
they
very
had
thick
the
glass, but man, that glass was everything then.
And they had like
Clear
the
plastic, whatever.
the controllers were on these little like spring-loaded arms that were coming out. And I remember playing like maybe half a level of Sonic the Hedgehog there. I remember hearing the sound effects and seeing the graphics.
Probably
and-
Spring Yard Zone. No,
Yeah,
no,
probably
no, Green Hill Zone.
Probably the first level of
Green
the
Hill
game,
Zone, yeah.
And you know, I'd see it at friends' houses, and I've known people who've been into Sonic.
You're more of a PC gamer.
I'm a
kid.
PC gamer
Yeah.
guy, so I had Jazz Jackrabbit, which was kind of Epic Mega Games, who later became just Epic Games.
Gears of War and such.
Yeah. They had kind of a knockoff of Sonic for the PC audience called Jazz Jackrabbit, and it was. I don't think there was as much running through the levels. It was a little more just kind of like a. I mean, like obviously, like it's a rabbit instead of a hedgehog, so like it's close in the look and vibe. But it was also just kind of a general purpose platformer with a lot of shooting and
So
stuff.
you don't have any real like relationship with Mario either, right? Like, did you own like a Nintendo console growing up? You were always a PC kid.
We always had a PC. I'd have friends who'd have
Nintendos
consoles,
and
and
such.
later on, I played a ton of Mario Kart. So that's my Mario.
But Ryan, you and I, Ryan and I were really good friends in grade school, and then we didn't see each other for a while because we went to different high schools. But then around 17, 18, we started talking again. And I remember one day we were working together at Sears, and it was like the first time you and I had talked in like 5 years, like
Yeah.
at length. And Ryan and I started talking about Dr. Robotnik for some reason, and we're having lunch, and Ryan just starts getting annoyed. He's like, it just doesn't make any sense. Why not just make a robot that looks like a chipmunk rather than make an animal into a robot chipmunk that is frequently not a chipmunk to begin
Well,
with?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
right
so
now.
so in the Sonic the Hedgehog games, Sonic beats up robots that look like animals. So
yeah.
So there's like a robot chicken.
These would be the
bad guys.
The bot.
The
Yeah.
Goombas.
When Mario steps on a Goomba, that sounds racist because it is. But I'm gonna say it because it's all the only words I've got to describe the game correctly. When Mario steps on a Goomba, he squishes them. When Sonic the Hedgehog bounces into
the robots,
when he hits but he might hit like a little like centipede, like a robotic centipede.
they're always robots. They just look like robot versions of animals.
Ladybug, a robotic butterfly, a robotic like crab, and then you turn into a bird.
They always turn into like a different animal. And Ryan,
Well, rather, they don't turn into. You release the animal inside of it.
Okay.
like the animal inside of it,
different animal
sometimes
inside.
because like there's something about the way they were generated on the Genesis. Like maybe it was a memory limitation, but sometimes that would happen. And Ryan and I
Someone
were annoyed. Like,
had that problem and said, "Kids aren't going to care."
But why didn't Robotnik just make robots? Like, why did he have to like enslave? Like, so they never get into it. They never have like the Matrix scene where you realize like animals like are the perfect battery supply. But so like Ryan and I, we grew up playing these games. I had a Sega Genesis. Ryan, you had a Sega Genesis.
Yep.
Do you remember the first time you saw Sonic the Hedgehog? Or the first time you played the game?
I remember. I remember a summer just being obsessed with Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah.
Combining them together, and I also remember as a younger. Here's the thing: as a younger brother, Sonic 2 and 3 and Knuckles playing as Tails is interesting because it was a great like playing as Tails, the two-tailed fox, a little yellow, light orange, dark yellowish, depending on the color scheme. Tails is Sonic's sidekick, for those of you unfamiliar with them, and Tails can help Sonic, and Tails can do things. Tails is basically riding your little kid bike with training wheels.
Yeah.
For those of you that find the video game, for those of you who are younger, even only a little younger, Tails means you can play, you can participate, you're helping, but quite frankly, and also if Sonic just gets too far ahead of you, if you literally can't keep up, Tails just is off screen.
The camera doesn't care about Tails. Like
Exactly.
little brother can play the game, and if like they goop up, or they like fly the wrong way,
They're just not focused.
It's
He's just kind
consequential.
of like he's the wingman.
Yes. Yeah.
And he can literally, if you are focused, you can pick up. Sonic holds your two hands, you hold him, and you fly. Your two tails become like a propeller, like a helicopter.
It becomes a co-op game.
And you can actually, there are even parts of the game where if you're just shitty, you can just you could pick up Sonic at the beginning, you just fly over the whole level or big chunks of the level. That's right. You can't just fly over the whole level because then there's no game.
So Ryan, you have like some really fond memories of playing Sonic
yeah.
3. 3 was the one. 3 I think is the best one too. A lot of people are down on 3 for some reason. They like redrew Sonic and that cheesed some people up. I don't get it.
Yeah, the character model is a little different. Sonic 3 was definitely easier than 2. 2 is a hard game.
Yeah.
2 is a lot harder than 1. Sonic 1 is good. A little clunky, all things considered, when you play through what are the 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. Brilliant decision, by the way, to make Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles two separate games because they were originally supposed to be one big game, and they split it up with a cool thing. You could open up the top of Sonic and Knuckles. You plug Sonic and Knuckles into the Genesis, and then you open up the top of it, you plug Sonic 3 into Knuckles.
It's an expansion.
And they are one big game. It's cool.
And you could buy the games individually, and they both work fine.
Yep.
Like they were both individual games, but you
There's
could
kind of a gizmo element to it where you can
it like
mess
top
around.
loads. Yeah. So you could play as characters from Sonic and Knuckles in Sonic 3. It was like a ROM
That's
hack
cool.
again.
If you bought Sonic 3, you could start the game as Sonic, Tails, or Sonic and Tails. But if you plugged in Sonic and Knuckles, you could play through the whole thing as Sonic or Tails.
So that's cool.
Sonic and Tails or Knuckles. You could only play through 3 as Knuckles if you plugged in both of them together.
Oh, and you could also put Sonic 2 in Sonic and
then you could play Sonic 2. That's right.
Yeah.
Sonic 2
Which-
Sonic 1 didn't do anything.
Sonic
with it.
2 in so basically you could take Sonic and Knuckles and put Sonic 2 in it as well. And retroactively play as the character Knuckles in Sonic 2.
How many kids do you think thought like, oh, you can put any game in here?
Well, you could, but it would
wouldn't
give you
work.
an error message.
Yeah,
But the
but
thing
like,
is,
how many kids had that moment where they're like, I wonder if I could put like
Home Alone in this.
yeah.
I fucking tried.
I tried
Yeah.
too.
In every game I got.
And the thing is, with Sonic 2, though, it was so old by that point that Knuckles, like, they hadn't conceived Sonic 2 with Knuckles in mind, so it just broke the game. Like, so Knuckles could, like, go places you weren't supposed to go.
That's right.
That's
But
funny.
So basically, like, that was your, like, peak memories, like the Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles days.
My brother had braces growing up, and so we went to the orthodontist a lot, which is a fucking what's the word? Not a hack, a racket.
It's a special dentist.
Braces are there's a whole other thing. So I spent a lot of time waiting around an orthodontist's office when I was a little kid, and they had Sonic 2, which is why I spent a lot of time playing it. And Sonic 2 gets, I would, for lack of a better word, exponentially harder with a very hard final boss.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it's Robotnik.
Robotnik did it.
It's Robotnik.
So you played a lot in that waiting room, basically, though?
Oh, yeah.
So
I would even, and also because other kids who were savvy enough to know the game, like I said, I would skip to the very end of the game to try to basically practicing the hardest levels because Green Hill Zone, you can only do that so many times. It's not, that being said, I probably should, thinking now, 31 years old, I would have much more fun playing through the first handful of levels than that unbelievably hard ending.
Yeah. With the plane and the...
Yes.
Yeah.
The Flying Fortress and the Doomsday device, which is an egg because he's an egg man.
There's some discrepancy, Neil, between the Japanese and American marketing of Sonic. Where
Eggman or Robotnik?
Or Robotnik. Right? And like, it was, for some reason, there was some miscommunication at Brand Central at Sega. Mm-hmm. I don't know why.
You know how King Koopa's King Koopa? And yet somehow he's Bowser. And I've done also far too much research into why is there such a big distinction? Like, well, they're two different characters. Like these, first of all, it's not a fucking character.
It's not a character.
It's barely a caricature. He's like maybe
well, Koopa's more of a
So that's interesting that Eggman and Robotnik also have that split.
I'm gonna call it an issue.
Well, there's a lot.
An issue.
There's a lot of that with between Eastern and Western marketing decisions. Like Ratchet, the character Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank has these really thick eyebrows in the Japanese incarnations of his games, but in America he doesn't have eyebrows at all. It's a marketing thing. It makes him more friendly looking. Like Crash Bandicoot, they had to change. They had to make him less intense looking.
All right,
Sonic was conceived with like East and West in mind. Like, this is how we're gonna get Americans to buy Segas. We're gonna design this rat that is fast.
Not part of my quiz. That I think, by the way, that has to have been a conscious decision. Is that Mario moves slowly?
Yeah.
We will move fast.
Oh yeah, he was
definitely
Sonic the Hedgehog was absolutely conceived with like the marketing of a piece of hardware in mind. Like, how are we going to convince people to buy a Sega Genesis? They aren't moving, and like, we'll conceive a game that's all about the speed.
I think that's kind of what turned me off of the games was you couldn't really explore the
you
level.
Didn't have volition.
Yeah, it's really going fast. It's almost
bells and whistles.
It's almost more of like a rhythm game than a platformer.
That's kind of why. So when I remember like we had an NES. My brother was 10 years older, and he had a Nintendo Entertainment System back in the 80s and 90s, and I really didn't like it as a kid because it didn't work a lot of the time. You had to blow in it. You had to put cardboard in, and when I was probably 4. Maybe 5, my parents said, hey, it's about time we got you your own video game console, and I wanted a Sega Genesis. And my cousin Kelly was over. She was 3 years older than me, and we hooked up the Sega for the first time after my parents brought it home, and they bought me just the starter pack. It had Sonic 1 in it, I believe. No, it had Sonic 2 in it. And we hook it up, and I'm looking at the back of the Sega Genesis box, the cardboard box it came in. It had pictures of all these Sega games. And
the back of console boxes used to look like the back of an action figure package of you spent someone else's hard-earned money on this.
Yeah.
There are other things that you can spend their money on.
It's another commercial.
Keep going, kid.
Keep going, man. Yeah. You're doing great. And I remember looking through, and there was like a picture of a Ghostbusters game and a Terminator game and like a football game. And I looked at my cousin Kelly. I'm like, oh, let's play the Terminator game. And my cousin Kelly had to explain to me, like no. Cartridges are like tapes in a VCR. Like I was 5, like, back then, like you could go years and years and years as a kid without having a video game available to you, right? And it broke my heart. I'm like, I guess I'll play Sonic, and we had a lot of fun. No, it was Sonic 1 because it was Sonic 1 because my cousin Kelly remembered the code: up, down, left, right, hold A, and hit start at the main menu, and that would unlock level select, and we would just skip around. We broke the game the first time I played it, just to go around and explore everything. The music was great. I loved the look of Sonic. I liked the speed. I liked the art style. Sonic is a valid video game. I think people like kind of give it too much short shrift. I think it's great for its time. I still like the character, but there's something we've talked about this a bit, and this should probably be the last thing we do before we go into our quiz, and that is there have been so many bad Sonic things for 20 years now. Like ever since Sega went 3D with like Sega Saturn, which was just a disaster. It came out like around the same time as the PlayStation 1. The Sega Saturn was just like a DOA. It never had a proper 3D Sonic game. Sega Dreamcast came later. My point being, Sonic has had like 20 years of failures, and kids still want Sonic. They still spend the money. They still watch the TV shows.
There's a huge fan base.
Why?
And fan community.
What is it about Sonic the Hedgehog? Like, how many times are kids going to keep showing up for this thing? It's not like adults.
It's a very
showing
valid
up, it's
question,
kids.
and I don't have the best answer.
I think it's just the formula. I mean,
He gets away.
kids don't remember that Sonic already came out, you know?
Yeah.
When a kid is introduced to Sonic, it's new to the kid, you know? So it's whatever worked originally about the character of Sonic the Hedgehog, the fact that he's an animal, the fact that he's got sneakers.
You can get away from the adults.
Yeah.
He's always
Kids are high
fast.
energy,
He's very
yeah.
high energy. He's like, might as well be selling pizza at Pizza Hut or Coca-Cola, or the intro to show you the movies in 3D before the movie. He's a marketing tool.
He looks like he was gestated in a marketing room.
And I was actually going to say
He's like a
before,
Disney princess.
He
He's
looks
kind
like
of
Mickey
everywhere.
Mouse
go.
meets Bart Simpson.
If I were to predict the genesis, no, we already did that. I've always said, and I'm going to say it here on the record, I always thought that Sonic and Friends, that at least Sonic, and then they've kind of morphed from there because they got fucking
What is Sonic
bad.
and Friends?
I don't know, just him and his expanded universe.
It's a cartoon, right?
No, I literally meant like Sonic and the
Oh,
other Tails,
yeah.
Knuckles, yada yada.
But right
yada.
around like the turn of the century, they decided to introduce a bunch of characters that no one gives a shit about, like Biggs the cat and like all this stuff. Like, there's,
Correct.
Yeah,
I know a Biggs the cat, but he's
Yeah.
named after
He's
the Star
actually in my
Wars.
quiz, but where he's not. Anyways, I always thought like take Felix the cat, but make him 90s. Take that old timey Felix the cat with his magic box and stuff.
I'm 90.
I'm cool.
Now I like Felix the cat.
He does. He looks a lot like Felix the cat. I think we talked about that exact thing on the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like it's like imagine if Felix the cat was not made by an artist but made by a committee. Add this, add that.
Add
add
spikes, yes.
Does he rollerblade? Does he skateboard? He's super fast.
Always have a
Pizza
cocked
Hut,
eyebrow.
Pepsi.
Always
Yep.
have that DreamWorks face.
Yeah.
When you sit there,
Always be flipping the camera.
that's
off.
a yep.
That's the thing
When
too.
you
Is
leave Sonic standing still.
if you stop playing Sonic the Hedgehog,
Keep playing. If you even get up to use it, you get up to take a fucking piss.
10
and
seconds.
he's indignant with you.
he looks at the
Oh,
camera and he
yeah.
gets mad because you're like, "Come on, dude! Like you bought my game, right?"
Oh yeah,
was-
he did that in. Jazz Jackrabbit would do that too.
That was a
He'd-
ripoff. Sonic.
It was
Sonic
totally a
was the
ripoff. Yeah,
progenitor,
yeah. But
And
he'd like kind of like, hey, what's your like he'd like that.
Dude, so
He had a really muffled voice that you couldn't tell what he was saying to you.
So we all have varying degrees of familiarity with Sonic. Neil having pretty much none.
Yes, but I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan and I both have kind of what I would consider like we would probably pass the license exam to be able to talk about
I
Sonic.
suppose so. Yes.
Yeah.
And as always, one of our earlier podcasts, I talked about how I saw Shin Godzilla and about how it was really well done.
Is Sonic in it?
Probably in somewhere. Not fucking looking because he's a garbage human being. The point is, why am I? It was directed by Hideaki Anno. It's a really well done movie. It's about Japanese nationalism and about the plight of bureaucracy and about self-determination. It's a good movie. I recommend it. But there are so many bad Godzilla movies. There's overwhelmed. Look at their track record. Go to IMDb.
Yeah.
It's so much more shit than quality. And yet I still watch a new Godzilla, and one could easily ask why. And the answer is because it's part of my childhood. Because I have fond memories. How does a brand stay so? How does a brand that produces almost entirely shit? How does an Adam Sandler exist? I don't know.
Well, Adam
I don't know.
Sandler has depreciated returns. Like Adam Sandler has like lost deals and such.
You're right. That's a bad analogy.
But the thing with Sonic is it's
not as good as Godzilla.
The thing
Godzilla
with
sticks.
Sonic for some reason still has appeal to children, fresh every time, and they haven't really redrawn the character that much. He's evolved a little bit, like his like tendril spikes have gotten longer and everything.
His legs.
Yeah, they've
You know,
made
that
him.
makes sense.
They've made him like sexier. Like he looks like the year 1999. But
got a dick
But
now.
we're gonna take a quick pee break.
Yes.
And then we're gonna come back with Ryan's Sonic the Hedgehog themed quiz, and then our Q&A from our patrons, and then we'll be done. And we'll see you on the other side, Ray.
Well, we're back, everybody, and I have an 8-part Sonic the Hedgehog theme quiz. I'm going to ask 4 questions Kevin, 4 questions Neil, and I'll go back and forth. And actually, I'll give him the option that if the first guy gets it wrong, the second man can come on in and go for the points.
Now that we've demonstrated we have like an elementary level understanding of Sonic the Hedgehog at best.
Yes.
I think I'm going to win.
All right. And by the way, it's worth noting, I'm 31 years old, and I did research into Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm disgusted by what I found. I don't know what's wrong with you people. You've taken something that was fun, that was like a Felix the Cat. He's a little cartoon. He's a competition for Mario, and you're disgusting. I hate what you people have done with it, and I'm just so inundated. I have a real job, and I just didn't have the time to devote to this stupid... My computer actually crashed because I had too many tabs open for this stupid...
Sonic the Hedgehog is
Question-
bad for your
All right,
computer.
so
Question
let's
number
start
1.
the trivia quiz.
Number 1. As of my update on my Google Docs, which of these stupid fucking characters, it doesn't matter, was the unofficial mascot for Sega before Sonic the Hedgehog
Is this for Neil or
in
me?
1991? We'll start with you, Kevin.
Okay.
Guru Skull, Gabu, Kate Sith, Alex Kidd, or Kasuragi. I can repeat these if you need me.
So the original mascot for Sega before Sonic the Hedgehog was Alex Kidd.
X, ding, ding, ding. Kevin's got it.
Yeah.
Alex Kidd was in a series of obviously less popular games. Look him up, one of those obscure little facts for trivia night or this very quiz. Alex Kidd, not as big, obviously, as Sonic the Hedgehog.
And I'll edit in the ding ding dings later.
Don't make a fool of yourself and do them with your mouth.
All right, Neil, question number 2. Which garbage fucking moron decided that Sonic needed to be distinct from Mario of the Super Mario Bros. Franchise, and therefore gather rings instead of coins? Was it Katsuaki Watanabe, Yuji Naka, Kasuwa Namajini, Junji Ito?
I know it's not
I just kind of throwing names.
I'd love it if it was Junji Ito.
Junji Ito. He got it. For those of you less familiar with Mr. Ito-san's work, Google him. You're gonna have a good time.
So these are like people at Sega? Or
Maybe.
Okay.
Are those the options?
Those are the options.
What were the first 3?
The 5th, by the way, is Hideaki Anno, but I already said him before. It's obviously not him. He made Evangelion after. All right, it is Katsuaki Watanabe, Yuji Naka, Kasuwa Namajini, and Junji Ito Hideaki Anno.
I have no idea. So I'm going to say it's the 3rd option because it's usually the 3rd option.
That's actually part of SAT prep, is when in doubt, C.
Go
Yeah,
with
that's
Dusty.
what I did, yeah.
It is actually a gentleman named Yuji Naka, which you
Yuji
couldn't have
Naka.
possibly known because even people who know Sonic may not know that he was one of the heads. He was one of the big guys in the original Sonic team. And
I'm guessing the Sonic fandom doesn't really care about the creators, and it's about the in-universe.
Yeah.
As
Oh,
with
yeah.
Star Wars, there's no... Yeah, never mind.
nobody cares about like the intelligent, really hardworking people who put this magic together.
So was I correct or not?
No, it was not C because I knew I purposefully didn't hide my answers in C.
Oh, okay, I
'Cause I
see.
always think about that when I'm composing multiple choice.
I should have thought of game theory. Should've-
Yes. A. Katsuaki Watanabe is actually the former CEO of Toyota. Yuji Naka worked for the Sonic team. Kasuwa Namajini, I don't remember right now. Junji Ito, great horror writer. And Hideaki Anno, Japanese director. Number 3, Kevin. In 1995, Knuckles Chaotix was released exclusively for the Sega 32X and was Knuckles' first solo game.
Yeah.
Which of the
Knuckles.
Which of these dumb characters that all kind of look the same was known for being one of Knuckles' friends, but was actually introduced to audiences in Sega Sonic the Hedgehog in 1993?
Okay.
Was it Mighty the Armadillo, Charmy Bee, SBO the Chameleon, Vector the Crocodile, or Mighty the Cat?
It's the alligator or the crocodile.
Vector the Crocodile.
Vector the
D?
Crocodile.
I'm afraid not.
Whoa, really?
So that leaves you Mighty the Armadillo, Charmy Bee, SBO the Chameleon, and Mighty the Cat.
Mighty the
Okay, so wait. Start over.
Such ad libs.
No, what
Which
are the
of these
characters again?
in Knuckles Chaotix?
I don't care
introduce a
about
bunch
the
of-
question. Just give me
Okay.
the characters.
Mighty the Armadillo, Charmy Bee, SBO the Chameleon, not Vector, and Mighty the Cat.
Who's Knuckles' sidekick?
Let's say
These were all-
SBO the Chameleon.
Also not about all these characters are in Knuckles Chaotix, which I owned. For the
Oh, you made
32X.
these up.
My brother, every one of these is a real fucking character that all look the same without my glasses
All right.
on, except they're. So,
It's not the
Kevin.
crocodile. It's not the chameleon.
Mighty the Cat, Charmy the Bee, Mighty the Armadillo.
Mighty the armadillo.
Correct.
Hooray!
There is a game after Sonic 2, but before Sonic 3, with a weird version who looks a lot like Tails. And there's another one, Mighty the Armadillo, who could also roll up in a ball like an armadillo.
They probably just reused the sprite. They probably.
They definitely did. It's like the way that Super Mario Brothers 2 was ported from another game because Super Mario was so huge, they need to make a game quickly.
Yeah.
So the turban became a mushroom, and yada yada yada. Yeah. Another blog for another time. Question number 4. Back to you, Neil. Knuckles, the red smudgy thing that looks pretty much like all the other ones without my glasses on, other than being red, is supposed to be an anthropomorphic cartoon of what kind of animal?
I do know this one.
A capybara, a red panda, an echidna, a mongoose, or a squirrel.
It's an echidna.
Also known as a spiny anteater. An echidna, that is correct. I actually thought that would be more obscure. I remember as a kid looking up what an echidna was in a book, because I didn't have the internet yet at home. Or I did, but I just didn't. Maybe I just didn't put 2 and 2 together in Yahoo, but because I didn't have the Google didn't exist. Or if it did, I didn't know about it.
Kevin, do you need a moment?
I just love the idea of Knuckles the panda. I don't know why. I just love it.
Because fuck it, why not? None of these.
Nothing matters.
Just the idea that like pandas fit that level. Oh, that's a more obscure animal, like an echidna. Like,
Yeah.
I just. Pardon me. Okay.
Even as a child, it always struck me that you really like went looking in the book for like something like, you know how echidnas? No, I don't know.
They probably wanted unique animals so they could like own the market for echidnas.
Maybe.
Yeah,
There was
Do you
no
think
hedgehog
maybe
before
are they like
Sonic.
more well known in Japan for some reason? Just because.
possible.
Well, like Crash Bandicoot. There was no Bandicoot before that.
True.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's like registering a domain name. Like
Yeah.
he's the cartoon skunk. You mean Pepe Le Pew? Fuck. No, he's a different All right, I get it. He's a cartoon rabbit.
All right.
Don't even go there.
Question 6?
5. This was back to you, Kevin.
Okay.
Which of these very small, Felix the Cat looking cartoons for children has the most pornography based on their image and likeness? Asterisk, Ryan Murphy did some research into other people's analysis of Google search results. Sonic, Tails, Tychol the Echidna, Amy Rose the Hedgehog, or Mechasonic.
Okay, so out of these 5 Sonic the Hedgehog characters, who has
The most pornography.
the most pornography
Disgusting.
on like DeviantArt? And
Sonic, Tails, Tychol the Echidna, introduced as like another echidna or in an earlier game, Amy Rose the Pink Hedgehog, the Nermal of this universe, and Mechasonic, who, yes, there is. Yes.
so, God. Okay, I'm going to go with Amy.
Tragically, you're correct. Yes. But Mechasonic, Amy Rose, Tychol, Tails, and Sonic,
Mechasonic
all of them have an enormous amount of confusing, strange, unpleasant for these cartoons for children.
Is she the only girl character?
Nope.
No?
Nope. Not after my research. There's a whole ever-expanding universe for these dumb fucking things.
So during the break, we watched the cartoon intros. Is
Yes.
she the character from the cartoon?
That's Sally
That's
Fox.
Sally Fox.
No, that's it. Yep, she's different. That
Is
was
she a fox?
no, I think she's actually also a hedgehog, but she actually looks like a hedgehog, not a blue fucking monster. All right, number 6. Sega's attempts to somehow make this dumb little piece of shit seem edgy or badass ended up with the creation of this character, who is basically just Slash as a bad turtle in comparison to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Is it A, Dank the Slick Skunk, B, Voidnoid, C, Knack the Weasel, D, Shadow the Hedgehog, or E, Fang, F-A-N-G, Fang the Spider?
I think it's Shadow the Hedgehog, right?
Unfortunately, you are once again correct.
Okay.
Now, Fang the Spider is a real character from the Sonic franchise. Knack the Weasel is also real. Voidnoid I made up because this is not my best question. And Dank the Slick Skunk sounds like one of these dumb fucking things, but I actually made him up too.
Doesn't Shadow the Hedgehog have like guns and rollerblades?
He just shoots people.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a terrible...
he doesn't run. He's got
even for
rollerblades.
Sonic, yeah, even for Sonic fans, they're like, I can see through this. All right. Kevin, you're not going to get this. Actually, you might, but it's not your fault. All right. Which of these characters is Dr. Robotnik's father?
Go on.
No amount of research. Actually, you could just look up this specific thing, but it's like, you know what? It's like preparing for Jeopardy. You just can't study everything. Is it Professor Oslo Robotnik? Professor Eric Robotnik?
Shit.
Professor Gerald Robotnik? Professor Roto Robotnik? Or Professor Fritz Robotnik?
Is this canon to the cartoon?
I don't think there's a canon.
Robotnik's father.
Oslo?
I was really hoping for a context clue, and only one of them would be named something Robotnik.
Gerald.
Okay, Oslo, Gerald,
Eric. Roto Robotnik, or Fritz, like Fritz the cat.
Oh, man. I like the first one a lot.
Oslo Robotnik sounds... Oslo in the summertime. Unfortunately, no. It is not Oslo Robotnik. Neil,
All right.
You can take it away. We have Eric, Gerald, Roto, and Fritz.
I guess I'll go with Roto.
Would be a great guess for this dumb piece of shit, but nope, unfortunately. Kevin, we've got Eric, Gerald, and Fritz. At this point, the odds of...
Gerald.
Bingo.
Yeah!
What? That's
Gerald
my
is
father's
by
name.
far... It is your father's name.
Gerald Robotnik?
I thought you maybe put that in there to throw me off. Like,
Professor Gerald Robotnik also got his master's degree or doctor. Yes, he is also a
having
professor.
a name like Gerald kind of makes him too real.
Yeah, that was my strategy. Was like, okay, we're going the opposite direction.
I made up all the other ones, but the fact they're all Professor Blank Robotnik, that was a tough. All right, and Neil, number 8. This dumb fucking character is mean and bad to Sonic. Parentheses. I don't want to write questions anymore. End of my quiz. A.
Ryan Murphy.
Metal Sonic. B. Scratch and Grounder from the bad cartoon. C. Mecha Sonic asterisk, which is somehow different thing than somehow it's different than Metal Sonic. D. Snively, or E. Dr. Robotnik.
Who is Dr. Robotnik?
Oh, look at Kev. Oh, it's you. Actually, trick question. All of them. These are all. It doesn't
Everyone
matter.
hates Sonic.
And that's kind of where I want to end it. Is none of these fucking matter. It's like an NPR quiz on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. Metal Sonic and Mecha Sonic are both villains. So are Scratch and Grounder. So is Snively, the little like toady guy from LeFew or whatever, to Robotnik in the good cartoon.
Sure.
And Dr. Robotnik is fuck it. I'm done with this.
He's
quiz.
the only one I knew for sure was.
Well, that's the quiz, ladies and gentlemen. That's.
I think I won.
I think I lost more than you did.
I think we slayed some Sonic demons with that quiz, and this brings us to the Q&A segment of our podcast, which we do every episode. We go to our Patreon page and we pull questions from our patrons exclusively. Even if you back our movies and our podcast for $1, you get to put questions into our podcast, and we answer as many as we can every episode. We got some good ones this week. Let me comb through them here.
Sure. Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
No. Do you back the Patreon?
Yeah.
No, you don't. We talk.
All right, imagine it's 1993, 1994. Disney has lost the contract to make the Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
They choose to make a Sonic the Hedgehog movie
Who
instead.
do you cast as Sonic?
Yeah. Well, who is your dream cast for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
Oh, jeez.
So 1994, 95.
Yeah. Say instead of the Mario movie, Sonic the movie.
What year did Mario come out? 93.
93, yeah.
Well, Sonic's got to be voiced by. He's high
Not
energy.
voiced, played by an actor.
Oh.
Live action.
93 is probably too early for like a mocap thing.
Yeah.
So it can't be like Garfield with Bill Murray.
No.
Right,
Same production team as the Mario Brothers movie, just a different property.
I was about to say, I don't know if you could do that, but yeah, you could. My money's on Jim Carrey. High energy, fast, moving around. Yeah, him.
The year before he broke big, he probably do. So he's in like a blue rubber suit.
Yeah.
He brought life into the Grinch, and again, is his performance
He
stale?
did.
Yeah. You don't realize how much work Jim Carrey clearly put into the Grinch, in spite of the parameters of that suit, until you see what a bad job Michael Myers did as the Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine anyone but
I guess
like
I'd
Michael
give him
Myers in the
All right, well,
Sonic
you got
suit.
Tails and Knuckles.
Okay, but no, like, okay, so Robotnik.
Oh, yeah.
At the time, do you think they just keep Dennis Hopper because they have him on?
Dennis Hopper could probably pull it off. Yeah,
but you could do better. Marlon Brando, Robotnik.
See that?
I could easily picture that.
John Goodman just because he's a big guy.
Oh, John Goodman.
No, De Niro. It's De Niro.
Yeah.
He shaves his head for
Yeah,
it. De Niro's Robotnik.
That's actually
Okay,
like
yeah.
an imposing figure.
Tails is Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
And
Too easy.
The female interest, which just changes a lot in these games.
would be who?
Thinking.
Oh, how old is Macaulay Culkin in '93? He's just past Richie Rich.
Yeah, he's kind of. Well, it's Page Master time.
I'll cut this part anyway. Okay, because Macaulay Culkin was away. Okay, so Macaulay Culkin is Tails. Sonic the Hedgehog, though, did they go with Jaleel White? Because that voice is so synonymous.
They could if they're trying to make a movie star out of Jaleel.
Jaleel White at the time was the voice of Sonic. He was synonymous with the property. But if they were going for a name actor or someone they were trying to make into a name actor in 1993 to play Sonic the Hedgehog.
What year did Ray Fiennes play the English patient?
Ed Furlong. They pull out Ed Furlong.
Yeah.
Because the star was fading.
Was River Phoenix still alive?
No, I don't think so.
His final role.
His final role. Oh, man.
Oh, Charlie Sheen. In 1993, Charlie Sheen.
Hey.
Have you read the news lately?
Yeah.
Oh, what if it's River and little Joaquin is Tails? That could. The tail that could. The tail.
Well, it's got to be cool. So I'm starting to think they wouldn't go for a kid. They would go for like a late teen or an adult, which is why I thought Charlie Sheen. But
I feel like maybe one of the Wayans is.
as Sonic?
Yeah. I don't know. They were breaking in, this was around the time of Blank Man. And
Go on.
all right. Anyway, I think we've answered the question.
Okay, well, that was our first question from Neil Ciceriga. Moving on to our patron questions. Biona asks, if you could choose to be one kind of monster, what would you want to be? Ryan.
First of all, Biona, thank you for the question. Thank all of you for your questions. You guys are we really do read all of us read all of your questions. We love it.
I don't.
Biona,
I'm just kidding.
we love you. Biona, I'm gonna go with standard werewolf.
Yeah.
Used poorly, underused. Every now Anthony Hopkins and Benicio del Toro did a great job.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson
I've
did
been
great.
thinking about that movie lately. Wolf.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm sticking to
James
it. Werewolf. Don't overthink it. Neil.
This is what monster we'd be.
Yep.
I guess skeletons seem like they're having a great time. Whenever a skeleton comes to life, there's no sad story there. They're just kind of dancing or fighting.
Old timey cartoons.
Yeah.
Dancing.
Fighting
Yeah,
Jason
you're
and the
right.
Argonauts. It's fun. It's fun. It's good stuff.
To your point, I think a Deadite would be really fun.
Yeah.
The baddies from the Evil Dead movies, they're always laughing.
Yeah.
Even when they're getting like limbs torn apart, they seem pretty blissfully ignorant.
You said about Jason. They're either like goofy dancing or they fight fearlessly. Because what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be a
Honestly,
vampire.
what do they have to be afraid of anymore?
You wouldn't want to be a vampire?
No way.
Too many rules.
Yeah, you live forever probably. What if like the world explodes and you're just hovering in space, starving? Like no way. Deadites like die.
Yeah.
Like-
It seems like there's a lot of drama too.
Yeah.
For an undead being, there's a lot of like dating problems. All right, so that answers the question.
Ben Parchel asks us, with Thanksgiving coming up, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food? So from a different angle, what goes on your first plate at Thanksgiving table? Like what's the first thing you guys grab at Thanksgiving?
I get turkey and I like the dark meat.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you know?
I usually start with the turkey, just because that's kind of like the center. I always make sure I get stuffing and cranberry sauce and gravy.
Getting hungry.
Me too. I haven't eaten
Then
yet.
you get your mashed potatoes, peas. I think it's always good to get some peas in there and some
peas,
green
everybody.
beans. I'm not a big fan of squash.
Squash.
Pumpkin pie is great, but I don't like squash.
Isn't it weird, by the way, cranberry sauce is one of the only foods that you can pull out of the gelatinous substance you pull out of the can.
Yeah.
First of all, you can just pull out of the can. There's no other food that you can serve like that. You need to at least microwave it if you're like, divorced or whatever. But you can pull it out and it's still shaped like the can and everyone's like just fucking fine with that.
Perfect.
And perfect, fine.
C'est magnifique.
Yeah.
For me,
you know what? Other Brown bread. I think that's a New England
there you
thing, but
go.
brown bread is also bread that comes in a can.
Associated with beans.
Yeah, it goes great with the beans. You just slice it up from its can-shaped form.
Yeah.
Is that really other parts of the country don't have that?
I want to say it's a New England
Crazy.
thing, but I might be wrong.
They're missing out.
For me, I'm really big on carrots. My Aunt Lee makes delicious carrots every Thanksgiving. Little brown sugar, baked a little bit. I usually fill up on that and broccoli before I get to anything else. I like turkey, but I'm really big on the way people prepare vegetables for Thanksgiving. So Mobius asks, would the three of you ever consider doing occasional Let's Plays together of weird 90s computer ephemera? Like maybe, if not video games, like outdated software and such. So I think it's safe to say out of three of us, I'm probably the most into video games. Mm-hmm. Ryan and I sometimes get together and we've Ryan introduced me to Minecraft, and I remember that it was like around July 4th, 3 years ago.
That's right.
And like we lost like 4 hours that day, and I remember just realizing like, oh my, like coming out of that fugue state, like, oh my god,
it's such a foolish game to watch someone else play until you play it yourself. I'm a big proponent of Minecraft.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember that day going,
this is all we're doing.
We're only going to play until we get lunch at noon, and being told by someone, it's 2:00.
Yeah,
like, oh,
you
good
have to
Lord.
eat, yeah.
We lost hours with an S at the end, plural.
But like, what like as far as Let's Plays go, I haven't really streamed anything. I streamed Twisted Metal Black once. It's one of my
Yeah, I
favorite
think
games.
at Let's Plays, they tend to be easier solo.
Yeah.
I've done a couple sort of Let's Plays where I like dig through old indie games that I downloaded
Like
a
click
million
and
years
play.
ago. Yeah, like
Yeah.
click and play games. I feel like if I ever like stumbled across something that I thought like, oh, this would be really fun to play with Kevin and Ryan, let's do a live stream or something. Maybe in that case, it would depend on the game we find.
I would love to look up old like South Park fan games from 1997.
I have a couple.
like
man.
South Park Final Fantasy, like South
yeah, like
Park
South Park
GoldenEye.
versus Barney.
Yeah, or like Batman Doom wads and stuff like that. Those are actually really fun though.
Yeah.
So-
I had Batman Doom.
I had
Mobius,
Ghostbusters
great
Doom.
question. Yeah, my
that's a good one.
Yeah,
imagination's
Mobius,
running.
love your strip.
If we did like a traditional video game Let's Play, I think we would probably pick like a 2 to 4 hour story-based game we could do in one sitting.
There is an Ace Ventura game.
Oh, is it short?
Probably.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, because Ryan and I love to play Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 and 3 are both beatable in like 5 hours, and I think that'd be really fun to expose Neil to, because Ryan and I are big old school Resident Evil fans.
And I love Resident Evil 1, but it's frustrating at times.
Yeah.
It's not as fun. It's not as organic as going through 2 and 3.
Yeah, and
to me.
the art design and the music are cooler in 2 and 3. And I also think Neil, growing up on click and play adventure games, the Tim Schafer stuff, like
A
we
point and
mentioned
click. Yeah.
Yeah, what did I say? Click and play?
Click and play.
Sorry, point and click adventure games. Resident Evil is an evolution of that. It presents itself as like an action shooter. It's not. Like, there is shooting, but it's very much tank control. Like, a zombie's coming. Try not to shoot it. Try to avoid spending bullets.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's a lot like Alone in the Dark, which
Yes.
was kind of an earlier version. of that.
absolutely.
And I definitely had those games.
Yeah.
I have to, by the way, I have to taking it down a second gear. I have to say, I feel remiss not mentioning Mobius. Again, great question. And as our Sonic the Hedgehog episode, Mobius is the name, one of the few consistencies. Mobius is the name of the planet that Sonic and all of his other intellectual properties, heroes and villains, live in. Mobius, you may in fact be a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, by which point you may have turned this off before hearing your own question.
You might have
It's
really-
entirely up to you.
I didn't realize Sonic was an alien.
Yeah, you're right. It goes.
Well, how do you think he talks?
Or an alternate universe. I don't know. Like a Middle Earth is still whatever.
This next name, anyone want to take a crack at this?
Guoni Colbean, and an accent on the A, Paulson. Mr. or Miss apologies in advance for almost certainly having butchered your name, but Guoni Colbean Paulson. Where do ducks go when it rains? Well, I actually
Neil,
once...
put your phone down. Don't Google
He's
this.
cheating.
Where do ducks go when it rains?
I believe all the ducks are swimming in the water.
I think they go-
La, 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 la. Do you remember that song?
No,
not.
I think they go under bridges.
I
Getting high, like
No, it's like they seek shelter, right?
I think they get they umbrellas. I don't know.
I did once on Boston Common see one of the ducks inside a little, almost like the base of the tree had an almost, not a cave, but like a little opening in it where like some of the tree had rotted out, and there was a duck in it, and I found it interesting in that Not to be all Holden Caulfield about where the ducks go when it's cold, and Tony Soprano waiting for those goddamn ducks to come back to his pool. But the point is, I found it really interesting that ducks live in water and on land. Ducks all like piss and shit and eat and fuck out of the same hole. Well, not eat, but whatever. They're disgusting animals, like Louis C.K. points out. But why would a duck like be avoiding the rain when it always gets wet and has in between its not pelt, but its feathers have that oily layer on it to keep it dry and beat up the water? Maybe it's a tactile thing. Maybe it's too confusing. Maybe it's an auditory thing. All the vibrations in the water confuse it. It can't like sense predators around it. I don't know. But yes, I once saw a duck avoiding the rain, and it did strike me as odd.
Michael Kickenrad Corliss asks, after last episode, I tried to convince my brother's fiance to honeymoon in Salem.
Cool.
So we talked a lot about Salem, Massachusetts last episode. What other places do you maybe recommend they go for their honeymoon? So we might wreck a marriage if we recommend something stupid. So if I could pick anywhere to go for a honeymoon and money was no object, I would recommend Japan. I think Japan is a beautiful country, and I got to spend a few weeks there, not for business, just for pleasure, about a year and a half ago. Not only is it beautiful, not only are all the cities in Japan gorgeous, not only are there great places to hike and vistas and amazing food. If you're into fish, you gotta go. The transit system in Japan is second to none. You can get across the entire country in like a 3-hour bullet train ride, and it's not even that expensive. If you get your tickets in advance, you can get month-long passes, I think, for like couple $100 per person, and you could like just travel the entire country like before like breakfast if you wanted to get from one part to the it's insane. Second to none. So I would say Japan would be my recommendation.
It's a good answer. I'm just gonna anti-recommend New York. I don't know why you would go to New York for your honeymoon, but yeah. I feel like the only times me and my wife have really like gotten pissed off and argued with each other was trying to get around in New York. So just don't do that.
You have a Homer Simpson relationship with New York.
Yeah.
Remember his negative association when he had such negative associations he didn't want to go back. That's why.
Oh, I mean, New York's fine. I like it. I live in a somewhat similar place. It's just I instantly was comparing our just okay transit system with their very confusing transit system, and it bothered me a lot. So and it put a temporary strain on my relationship last time I was there. So
I didn't know that.
Oh, not really. But we just got.
But it was not a good time.
No, I feel like every time I've tried to get around in New York, I've just been like, this is just confusing.
So don't tell your brother's fiance to go to New York.
Yeah, don't go to New York and don't go on the subway in New York
for your honeymoon. Honey, we can do it all day.
You just buy one ticket.
At least get a cab and find like a fancy hotel or something.
It can be stressful for romantic outings. New York City is definitely dense. It's beautiful, but it's dense. I think it's probably best in the winter because there's less people running around.
Oh, probably.
But still, it's dense. What about you, Ryan? What would you say is a great place for a honeymoon? For all the honeymoons you've been on.
I'm going to steal from the playbook of one of my favorite comedians, Tom Segura. I can't tell you where to go, but I can tell you where not to go, and that's Buffalo, New York. For those of you who live in Buffalo, New York, you fuck it. It's a garbage place. I don't like it.
I guess just New York State in general is just awful.
But I've been through a lot of New York State. A lot of it is pretty beautiful, but not Buffalo. It's just a shithole. If you live in Buffalo, get out. If you lack the socioeconomic means by which to get some upper mobility, then I apologize. No, I don't, because I said your city is shit, and I don't like it. I don't want to go back. That's my call. Anywhere in Vermont. Yeah, Vermont's delightful. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
you might meet Bernie Sanders. He might just be there. That'd be pretty cool.
Handing out birdseed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got one vote for
redistributing birdseed.
We've got one vote for Vermont, one for the country of Japan, and 2 negatives for New York State. John Neendick, who's written questions before. Sorry. Our next question comes from John Neendick, and he asks, what went wrong with Sonic the Hedgehog? I think we've covered it.
Thank you, Mr. Neendick.
But I don't think we answered the question.
Sonic didn't translate well into 3D. That's what everyone says. Basically, Sonic the Hedgehog, the mascot, in my humble opinion, is still a great character model. It's just slow them down. Like, make the games move slower or make the levels much bigger and more exploratory like Mario 64 That's how I'd fix Sonic the Hedgehog these days. I like the idea of sprite-based 2D Sonic returning with like Sonic Mania did, but there's only so many times you can return to the well and literally reuse art assets from the original games the way they did in Sonic Mania. It feels like they put all the best of the original Sonics in a blender and they made a really good frap out of it. I would say just, slow down Sonic, make the levels wider and bigger if they're in 3D. So,
all right.
That's Sonic.
Guess I agree with you.
Me too. Absolutely.
And get rid of the friends of Sonic the Hedgehog that aren't Tails and Knuckles. Bulldozer asks, and I really like this question. Imagine you could take a piece of media, a movie, a book, a game, whatever, and have all the memories you have associated with that completely erased so you could experience it again for the very first time, completely unspoiled. What game, book, movie, or whatever would you pick and why? I was thinking about this morning. This is a dangerous question because what if you disassociated all your memories with something you loved, re-experienced it again, and you didn't like it because it might change you fundamentally.
Men in Black neuralizer logic.
Yeah.
You're removing one very specific. It's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
What if like you loved Little Mermaid and you blanked your memory of it? Like you grew up loving the music.
4-year-old you loved it, and 31-year-old goes.
But like
that would be tragic.
But
really.
the art that you appreciate as a child does have a profound influence on behaviors later in life. You know, your relationships, they do.
Yeah.
So
that's why when I've imagined this thought exercise before, and I always feel like, well, I'd only feel comfortable doing that if it was a temporary process. If I could just take some drug or something that makes you temporarily forget
the ending of a movie.
The ending of a movie, yeah, or the
Morty's
solutions
Mind
to a game or something. I'd probably want to replay some of the old adventure games and stuff that I loved as a kid.
Yeah.
Or I mean, there's tons of movies. I'd love to watch Star Wars with no knowledge of Star Wars. I think that would be pretty awesome.
I did that in college.
That's a great
Yeah.
pick. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, because when that movie first came out, my father rented the VHS tape and didn't tell us. Us being my brother and I distinctly remember going through the opening credits because I knew what Ninja Turtles were. I played the video games. I watched the cartoon. I had the coloring books. I'd seen the comics, but they won't trust me with comics because they're thin and fragile, and I'm like 5. And at this point, or maybe younger, I don't remember. I distinctly remember our first Ninja Turtle action figures, my brother and I, because before they had plastic bodies and plastic heads, they had plastic bodies and rubber heads, and I was teething, so I just bit the heads off.
We talked about this, didn't we?
Did we? I believe we did.
Okay.
It definitely happened. So I distinctly remember, holy shit, this is an actual movie about the Ninja Turtles. Would I have to remove the other 2 live action films? I don't know. No. I think I'd still like seeing one really good one. One really like dark, actually shot in the dark, actually shot in Manhattan.
The first movie is pretty cool. It's
cool, but I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a waste of the wish.
It is. Oh yeah, it's.
I feel like if you have somehow avoided watching the Ninja Turtles movie and you watched it now as an adult, you'd just be like, okay.
I don't know, man.
That's the experience you'd get.
I chose this.
I didn't really grow up with it.
I'm sticking to my choice. I
could see it. Like
it's a waste. You're correct.
But if all you've experienced was like the other stuff, like the kind of dumber stuff, like dumber's a short
yeah, I
trick,
guess so. But I mean, you could do something else from the era, like Terminator 2 or something.
Yeah,
probably have a better time.
I think I'd want to pick something that was very surprising or like escalated in a crazy way.
Oh yeah.
So I'm having a hard time not arguing Evil Dead 2. If I could wipe my mind from if I could wipe all the memories of Evil Dead 2 from my mind and sit down and watch it again after only seeing the first one, be like, oh yeah, what happened to that first? I guess I'd have to wipe Army of Darkness from my mind too.
Maybe not. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, well, because Army of Darkness, I would know that this series ends up going here, and I know this guy ends up in the past. But actually, if I had erased only Evil Dead 2, I wouldn't know Army of... I would have that moment where, like, probably halfway through, this guy looks kind of like...
Army of Darkness.
It's kind of funny. He looks
same name, too.
Yeah, same name. He's got the chainsaw on there. Oh, it's the guy from Army of Darkness. I think it'd just be a fun experience. That movie escalates in such a way and just is relentless, and it gets funnier and funnier as it goes along until you realize, no, this is a comedy. It's not a horror film.
I would love to watch Ghostbusters fresh.
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the good one. Yeah.
Not knowing what happens at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, just in case someone doesn't know listening to this.
To watch someone's eyes, in their eyes for the first time of this thing, What evidence is there to support that this will happen at the end? Oh, nothing other than a bag of marshmallows. Like how could you possibly see that coming? That's pretty cool.
It's a really good reveal, and I can't
Yeah.
remember a time when I didn't know that was how the movie ended.
Maybe watching a movie that like was like a fundamental like building block for other things you love would be great to remove from your memory. Like I'd love to watch Unbreakable again for the first time, not just because there's like a kind of a shock ending, but there's certain experiences and atmospheres that movie achieves. Ryan and I showed you Unbreakable a couple months ago, right? Back in like February.
Yeah, and
You loved it except for the ending, right?
Yeah, the ending was my least favorite part, but I did really like it.
It would be cool to like. It was fun vicariously to see that through your eyes, and like you're like Neil's never seen this before.
It's also a little bit of its time, though. I feel like.
Yeah, like I did a really bad job with that, but like like the music gets.
Also just like I feel like that
grading.
movie would have a bigger impact on you if you were younger.
Yeah.
Speaking of, The Matrix.
Ooh,
yeah, The Matrix.
That's a good
That'd
one.
be cool.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, this is fun, but let's.
Yeah, we
Okay,
could just go on and on.
Joseph Shuttle.
The Abyss.
We got the next question. Joseph Shuttle asks, "What are your feelings toward Black Friday?" All right, how about we each do a Black Friday story, even if it's like.
All right, I'll be quick.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it. First, what's his name? It's Mr. Shuttle. Joseph Shuttle. Great question.
Yeah.
I really don't like it. It's like the Hunger. It's like not even the Hunger. It's like the Purge.
I remember one time Ryan and I the only thing I like about Black Friday, I guess, is I mean, like that, yeah, things.
Well,
go
the
on.
great thing about Black
Well,
Friday.
no, I mean, there's only literally like two things I like about Black Friday, and one is like, oh, things went on sale. Like I bought a nice monitor on Black Friday on Amazon.
About True Detective season 1, I think.
Yeah. Like you can buy stuff like really cheap. Cool. Like, but the other, like sometimes I do kind of like, I'll be visiting my hometown for Thanksgiving, and there's not a lot to do.
Yep.
And then it gets to like 9 p.m, and like all the stores are opening on Thanksgiving. And Ryan and I a few times have gotten together and just driven around. And we one time went to visit his brother Sean, who was in line to get his girlfriend at the time, now his wife, a PlayStation 3. And he was in this like 2-hour wait just to get like it was like 50% off or something. And Ryan and I just decided to go and get coffee and bring it back, like some hot chocolate for people in line.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of like, oh, my hometown's like doing something. But even that, I have to like convince myself of that.
Yeah.
It's
well,
like,
I feel like in our town, it's not quite that bad. It's not as bad as it's gotten in other places.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit like a community. Like we're all just coming together to hang out in this line, and it's not the greatest thing, but we're all here together.
But
doing the same thing.
But yeah.
And I usually get roped. I've gotten roped into it a lot of time. My neighbor always goes with like her mother or whatever, and they invite us, and me and Ming will be like, all right, let's do it.
Just to walk around and.
Just to walk around.
To
We're
do
not
something.
We're not trying to fill up a. We did when we first moved in together. We did get a bunch of stuff. We got like our blender and stuff, and it actually helped fill out.
I'm
our
holding
first
off on
apartment.
getting a blender right now until Black Friday.
Yeah,
but I
shit.
Yeah, it is like it's gross.
All right, the camaraderie and going around at night and being bundled up. And
It's
stuff.
kind of-
you
it's-
could do that with Christmas caroling.
You
But the
could.
Christmas carols don't get a fucking bat on each other.
I remember once, years ago. This is probably 2006. It wasn't Black Friday, but the Wii and the PlayStation 3 had just come out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
a guy, my friend Ross Kavanaugh and I went to a mall and slept overnight in this like truck of his. It was 4 of us, and we like hooked up like a laptop to the sound system, and like watched movies in the car and stuff. And then the sun came up, and we got in line with dozens of other people. There were 2 main entrances to this mall. And we could see through the glass door the other entrance. And there were far more people at this other entrance. Right? Mm-hmm. So there's probably, I want to say, 150 people waiting to get in. And it wasn't for Black Friday. It was just to get a PlayStation 3 or a Wii. And the 2 security guards came over, and they looked at one another, and they counted 3, 2, 1, and unlocked the doors. And people literally just sprinted to the game store. Just sprinted to the video game store. Everyone got in line. We waited another half an hour. The GameStop people came out and said, we have 2 Wiis, and people flipped out and screamed. And like, we have one PS3 and people scream.
Oh man.
So we just left. We just left, right? And I'm like, well, that was dumb. It was fun to hang out overnight though in the car, like, and like watch movies and stuff.
The interesting thing about Black Friday is just like being in Target in the middle of the night.
It's a great excuse to get away from like the boring stuff of your hometown. Like,
yeah.
Like,
but it's also just a weird. It's like a familiar place flipped upside down in a sort of way.
Jesus Christ, we're all doing Black Friday this year, aren't we?
I'm probably not.
I can't think of any. Like, I want to get a copy of Wonder Woman for like $7 on Blu-ray. I'm just gonna Amazon it. Like, I just don't. Riley.
Anyway, mixed feelings.
Mixed feelings. Riley Johnson asks from Patreon: would you rather collaborate with the other Kevin James or the other Ryan Murphy, and what would you make together? All right, so that's two questions. Would we rather work with Kevin James or Ryan Murphy? I think we'd have a lot of fun with Doug Heffernan, Kevin James. I think we could cast him.
I want to see the next American Horror Story season starring Kevin James.
Oh,
I want to see him scared shitless, man.
Hey, I want to work with the other Neil Ciceriga.
I think Ryan Murphy, the producer, for those who don't know, Ryan Murphy's produced a lot of very popular television. He could probably
Some better than others.
He could probably hook us up with like the powers that be and get us a proper TV show or movie made. So there's that. So what's fun?
We could trick him into thinking that like this is you.
I still like
do a duck soup thing.
Yeah.
Ryan and him are like looking through a mirror, but it's actually just like an empty frame, and our Ryan would like mirror the movements of TV producer Ryan Murphy.
Yes. Let's do that.
And then Ryan would say, I'm going to give Neil Ciceriga and Kevin James all my money.
All right, I remember. I have fond memories of Nip Tuck, but I haven't rewatched in a long time. I like American Horror Story. Some seasons better than others. 1, good. 2, confusing. 3, good. 4, Florida. Just Florida. 5, and 6, disappointing. It's disappointing, which is really too bad.
I want to make a dead serious serial killer film with Kevin James as like the farting strangler or something. Like
Fart strangler.
Well, that's the greasy strangler.
Wait. Does he strangle people with his farts, like they asphyxiate on the air, or does he can only fart when he strangles?
He can
like
only
it's a
fart when he
release.
strangles.
So he has to. It's a
so-
release.
yeah, it's just
so he's
calling
racked
card.
with guilt.
So he's not in the movie that much though. Like he appears like in the third act, like when we finally get to corner the killer. and
Yeah.
it's Kevin James.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hillary Taverna asks, if Kevin, Ryan, and Neil were muffins, what kind of muffins would you be and why?
I'm gonna say blueberry because I have blue eyes.
So Ryan calls blueberry.
Blueberry.
Oh.
Got some.
Corn muffin with butter. Your move, Kevin.
I really jumped on
you
that.
you guys jumped the gun. I was gonna say like I wanted to pick Ryan would pick Neil, Neil would pick me. But okay, no, well, whatever. So I get to pick what kind of muffin I am. I would pick. Oh shit! You guys pick the two.
Actually,
good
wait.
ones.
No, what am
Do you
I
want
thinking?
corn muffin? Because I thought of a better one.
No. No, I'm not gonna
I'm
do the
thinking about a
satisfaction.
dozen donuts. I'm thinking about a box of donuts you get at work or you get at home, and there's certain donuts that everyone eats, which means that they're dead now. And then there's a handful of ones that are terrible, like the cinnamon covered one. It's not terrible. I mean, they're all donuts. Someone's eventually going to eat it, or a bird eats it or something. But in short, don't you want to be the shit muffin that no one touches for a while? Don't you want shelf life? And by that I mean the one with raisins in it. Because honestly, whose favorite is that? A fucking psychopath. That's who.
My favorite. I guess I would decide to be like this is more of a cupcake than a muffin. No, I can't. I don't know. I guess cornbread. Yeah, I really like cornbread muffins.
Okay, I'll give you cornbread because I like those pina colada muffins.
That's cool.
Which might also be a regional thing. I think maybe even only exist at Stop and Shop. I've never seen them anywhere else. But they're pina colada flavored muffins with like a little maraschino cherry on top. Kevin's Googling this right now.
For everyone who's listening.
Did you mean pina colada song? No, I said muffin.
Muffins?
Yes.
All right, so there you have it, Hillary.
Thank you, Hillary.
Well, that was the latest episode of Guaranteed Audio. If you've been hunting for us on iTunes or Google Play or Player FM or whatever, head over to guaranteedaudio.com to find the rest of our show and subscribe. There'll be links provided at guaranteedaudio.com for all your favorite podcasting listening platforms of choice. We'll be back soon with more movies, podcasts, etc. This has been Kevin James with my cohorts
Ryan Murphy.
And Neil Ciceriga.
Good work, guys. Thank you for weathering the Sonic the Hedgehog episode. And we'll see you next time.
Da, 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 da.